This is Michael Popok, Legal AF. There is a battle brewing within the Trump family about the return of KellyAnne Conway as presidential advisor and campaign director. There is reporting now that in one corner is Melania, Lara Trump, first daughter-in-law, head of the RNC, and Eric Trump, who are pushing for the return of KellyAnne Conway to try to turn things around in the death spiral of a campaign for president being led by Donald Trump. He is circling the drain. Kamala Harris's surge has resulted in her being up over 4 points nationally, or 3 points nationally in the 538 poll, Donald Trump's favorite poll. And she's up in every battleground state but one. And even in that one state, she's only within 1 point. She's turned the entire race around. She's up over 5 points from where Joe Biden was consistently in every poll. And Tim Walz has only helped. Donald Trump sees it. And who does he want to blame? Should he blame the undisciplined head of the campaign, the president and CEO of Trump Incorporated, Donald Trump, the undisciplined candidate? No, he's going to blame everybody around him and all the advisors around him, like he's on some sort of Celebrity Apprentice show. You're fired, you're fired. Chris LaCivita and Susie Wiles are on the chopping block. The fact that Lara Trump brought back KellyAnne Conway on the 2nd of August to meet with the president, former president, to talk about his campaign is all you need to know. And then what she did right after that. Now, how do I know about the fact that she met KellyAnne Conway on August 2nd with Donald Trump? She posted it on her social media, and here's a picture of it. And then right after, she went on any show that would have her to campaign for the role of presidential campaign director. Listen to the clip, and then we'll talk about it. Here's the clip of her telling Donald Trump how he should run his campaign.
Tim Walz of Minnesota is a socialist gift, okay? These flip-flops and plagiarisms and so forth, they're little gifts, but he has to turn them into important gifts. He has to hammer away, does he not? I mean, that's what he... Don't wander off. Don't call her stupid and all kinds of names. Stay on message.
The winning formula for President Trump is very plain to see. It's fewer insults, more insights, and that policy contrast. He's got that hunger, swagger, underdog, underestimated of 2016 back, Larry, and you overlay that with the 4-year presidential record where we did have growth, we did have wage growth, we had low unemployment, the whole nine that you and I know. And tax and spend, I know they call him Tampon Tim, but I call him Tax and Spend Tim in Minnesota. He's proud of it. He'll brag to you about taxing and spending there, and she's been no better. So if President Trump would just contrast the policies, he'll win because he has a 2-to-1 advantage.
Now, the problem with that advice, be more disciplined. Don't attack Kamala Harris personally. Don't attack her race. Don't attack her sex. Don't attack her intellect. Focus on policy. Telling Donald Trump to grow a brain and be more disciplined this late in the game as he's pushing 80, coming off of Butler, Pennsylvania, and the concussive PTSD event that happened there, where his brain was scrambled. Right after that, his first major decision was picking J.D. Vance. You do the math. Telling Donald Trump to be more disciplined is like telling the kids in Willy Wonka's factory to put down the chocolate and stop stuffing their face. It's not going to happen, and she knows it. Now, is there historical precedent for, Donald Trump replacing his campaign director in the late summer to try to turn things around? Yes, there is, Popok. Yes, there is, everybody. Thanks for asking. 2016. Donald Trump in the summer fired his 2 campaign directors. They weren't named LaCivita and Wiles. They were named Brad Pascal and Steve and Bill Stepien. And he replaced them with, wait for it, Steve Bannon, now in jail, and KellyAnne Conway. So KellyAnne Conway is the only person, along with Steve Bannon, that figured out how to get Donald Trump elected back in 2016. So could he do it again? Sure. There's rumors that he's thinking about stepping down and quietly quitting his own campaign, Donald Trump. Maybe they're going to put up J.D. Vance as the lead candidate. Like, Trump should stop worrying and musing that Joe Biden, like Tom Cruise in the Olympics, is going to jump down from the rafters at the Democratic National Committee and try to take back, like Mission Impossible, his nomination. He's actually said things like that. Not happening. Look at the polls. The people love. The adulation is all in favor of Kamala Harris and her selection of Tim Walz. Donald Trump should stop thinking about that and start thinking about his campaign, because the days are numbered, as you heard KellyAnne Conway say. Now, KellyAnne Conway coming back is not an easy gambit. First of all, she's lost her fastball. This is 2024. This is not 2016. This is like a baseball team owner, hiring a Cy Young Award winner who had a 100-mile-an-hour fastball 10 years ago, and now hiring him now at 40 and wondering why he's throwing 88 miles an hour flat fastballs and they're all being hit out of the park. Okay, KellyAnne Conway is not suited for the 2024 campaign. 2024 is not 2016. I know I'm stating the obvious, but let me just put it here on the hot take. Demographically, it's different. The role of the women vote and the muscular, robust response that women are going to make and are already making in early voting. Kamala Harris is already winning in early voting, I assure you. The robust, muscular women's vote, where women vote in larger, are registered in larger numbers than men and vote more than men by a lot, by 2 or 3 points. They are going to fire back at the MAGA Republicans on Election Day and in early voting to get back their rights, to restore themselves as first-class, not second-class citizens in this country, to regain their bodily autonomy, to get the MAGA Republicans' boot off their throat and thumb out of their eye. That is what women are going to do. That wasn't the case in 2016. Sure, women and others like me rallied around Hillary Clinton. I campaigned for Hillary. I gave her money. I met her in person. But Kamala Harris is the perfect candidate for this moment in time. If this was the old movie Weird Science, you can go into a lab and invent and build a candidate to go and defeat Donald Trump, it would look exactly like Kamala Harris. Her body of work, from vice president all the way back to prosecutor and everything in between. Her growth as a leader, her charisma, people like her, the joy that she brings back to campaigning, to being an American and being a patriot. That is different than 2016. The demographics of the race are different. The role of Gen Z and Gen X in voting is different. The country is more black and brown and ethnically diverse than it was in 2016. And that doesn't cut in favor of Donald Trump. Kamala Harris is built for 2024 and to win, just like Joe Biden was built to win from the basement campaigning during COVID. KellyAnne Conway, it would be like if we took the, Mr. Peabody Wayback Machine, and we're bringing her up from the old-timey times of the 1800s and asking her to run a campaign now. That's how different 2016 and 2024 are. So I welcome Donald Trump to bring back KellyAnne Conway, who's been telling him and whispering in his ear, you can defeat another woman. You did it in 2016. That completely misses the point of where we are in the moment and completely misses the arc of history that is bending towards Kamala Harris and Tim Walz with tremendous momentum and enthusiasm and adulation going in their direction. So bring back KellyAnne Conway. Now that's different and stands in stark contrast to the smart move made by Kamala Harris, Vice President Harris, to bring back some of them, put the band back together for some of the people that led President Obama to his victory. I mean, David Plouffe is a genius. David Plouffe, besides Barack Obama himself, is one of the reasons that Barack Obama became president. And he's in his late 40s. He's ready to serve, and has been brought in to not become the campaign director, but to assist the campaign and bring in some institutional knowledge and experience about how a person of color wins the presidency in America and the type of campaign that needs to be run. That's a very good sign. That's completely different than bringing in this old white lady, let's be frank, as an old white guy, to help Donald Trump try to defeat Kamala Harris. You see the mismatch here and the mismatch in judgment? But all it's demonstrating, this battle that's brewing, that has broken out into the public between the Melania, Eric, Lara faction against Don Jr., just shows you how desperate they are. Donald Trump is not disciplined. He can't recalibrate quick enough. He's begging for Joe Biden to come back into the race because that he knows how to fight against. And that's why you've got KellyAnne Conway, who her own family is against her joining. George Conway, Yes, that's where she got the Conway name from, if you didn't know, who is a Republican but not a MAGA, who's a friend of the network, who's been on various shows of ours, including being interviewed by Ben Meiselas recently. He's a vocal critic of Donald Trump and everything MAGA, and of his wife and her role in trying to help him. Her own daughter is frequently on social media attacking her and saying that she should not help the fascist cult leader who's against LGBTQ plus rights ever again. And then you see people like Nikki Haley, who, I don't know, some people think should have been the vice presidential candidate, not the one that Don Jr. helped pick in Shady Vance. She's out there saying the same thing. You're not going to win this election, attacking Kamala Harris's racial identity, attacking her sex, attacking her intellect. Focus on policy, man. But he just tried. He went to North Carolina to give a discipline. That seems to be the word of the day in the campaign war room for Donald Trump, to give a disciplined speech about the economy. But he had an hour to fill. So it became a jukebox of Donald Trump's top hits, going after Kamala Harris's race, her identity, her intellect, her name. And all that people hear when he does that is just that, shit my grandfather says, or shit my father says out loud. Remember that book and that movie? It's just crazy talk, crazy town. And every woman or person of color gets very upset, and should get very upset and cringe when they hear these weird words coming out of Donald Trump, because they're targeting themselves. If you're an immigrant or a grandchild of immigrants, if you're a woman or you had a mother or anybody in your life that's a woman that you love and support, how can you vote for Donald Trump? What's KellyAnne Conway going to do to that? Okay, they're going to focus on inflation. Inflation is down. The Inflation Reduction Act, signed only by the Democrats and got passed for Joe Biden and signed by Joe Biden, is working. We just cracked the 3% barrier for inflation. Food prices are starting to come down. Gas prices are starting to come down. Sure, there's some anomalies in the market ever since COVID. Housing prices are up, and up considerably. Food prices are up 25% in 4 years. I get it. There's pain at the pump. There's pain at the supermarket. But the people have to recognize that all of the trends are trending in the exact right direction for the Biden-Harris and Harris economy as she continues. That's what's happening. And the polling is now reflecting it, as the enthusiasm for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz seeps into the water supply and shows up in polling. And that has Donald Trump running scared and about to fire his campaign directors. Don't be surprised. Why would we be surprised that he would do in 2024 what he did in 2016 and fire his campaign people midstream to try to change the result and the outcome? Except this time it's not going to work. There's even rumors that he's quietly quitting his own campaign and walking away from it, that he doesn't really want to win election, that he doesn't think he can win election. And he's already laying the groundwork for saying that it was illegitimate and he didn't win and there was fraud in the election before there was even an election. He's already doing that now. Is he quietly quitting his own campaign? I posited that on a recent hot take. He has no campaign events to match Kamala Harris. I mean, if he had the vitality and vigor and desire and discipline of a candidate like Kamala Harris, he'd be matching her a rally for rally in the same places. She's going to do 9 rallies in a whistle-stop tour with Tim Walz. He's going to do 9 rallies with J.D. Vance. Did they do that? No. They had 1 rally in Montana, not a battleground state by any means. There's more livestock than people in Montana. So he goes to Montana. That was it. Everything else was weird interviews in spaces, on X with Elon Musk. I don't even know who was interviewing who in that one or what it was even all about, and nobody watched it. Nobody cared. Or J.D. Vance trying to photobomb an airplane. He's got a thing about inanimate objects, couches, airplanes. It's really weird. That's all I'm going to say, to paraphrase our future vice president, Tim Walz. So that's just line up the 2 campaigns, and you see why KellyAnne Conway is campaigning to become the campaign director. But she can't do it. I'm going to say it again. She lost her fastball. She's throwing 82-mile-an-hour flat fastballs right to the middle of the plate, and they're going to get bombed out of the ballpark by Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. It's just the way it is. Bring on the debates. 3's not enough. Have 10 debates. One presidential debate is certainly not enough. We need at least 2 of those. And we'll continue to follow it all on the MeidasTouch Network and on Legal AF. You like this kind of content? You're going to love our show. Here comes the ad for it. Legal AF. There it is. It's on Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. You can watch the live recording of it. You can watch it, or you can listen to it on every major podcast platform that you can find. Just plug in Legal AF, and you'll find our podcast. It's an hour-long podcast. We sit at the intersection of law and politics. We don't blow smoke or sunshine, as you can tell. We're not censored, as you can tell. We're unfiltered. We're unhinged for democracy. And we bring it to you as practicing lawyers who practice in the courtrooms that we talk about, and we know what we're talking about law and politics. And then follow me, Michael Popok, on all things social media at MS Popok, and on Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on this MeidasTouch YouTube channel. So until my next hot take, until my next Legal AF, this is Michael Popok reporting. Heary, heary, Legal AF Law Breakdown is now in session. Go beyond the headlines and get a deep dive into the important legal concepts you need to know and we discuss every day on Legal AF. Exclusive content you won't find anywhere else, all for the price of a couple of cups of coffee. Join us at patreon.com/legalaf. That's patreon.com/legalaf.